Hello everybody and welcome back to Simon's Gaming Academy. Today we're going to have another Crucible Guide battle report. Today between me running Syvestro and Shane, hot off the WTC from Australia Kookaburras, running Tyrus from House Kallyss. So the scenario for this one again is trench warfare. I think we've done a bit of trench warfare recently. But essentially what happens in trench warfare is that you've got a central 40 mil objective, which is the one that provides cover to infantry models within 4 inches of it. You've then got the two caches in the middle, the two 50s on each flank, and then the flag that you can't score yourself, but you can score your opponents essentially for 2 points instead of 0, which is quite good. All right. So, especially for my army where I've got quite a few melee infantry units and I want to push onto my opponent into my opponent's space to deny them victory points. And so, as you will see shortly, with the 40 mil at the very back that can be scored by the Warcaster. At the moment you can't see mine, it's behind that orange tree, which will hopefully soon be removed from the table. But on the right hand side you can see there's a 50 here, and then there's the my Shane's flag objective. And so when you see my deployment, you'll see that I put my infantry units quite heavily on this right flank with the intention to push them up on this right flank into Shane's flag scenario piece. But on the left hand side, I'm also going to put a pretty heavy anchoring piece in the Vulcan, essentially, that he has to try and remove to get to score any points on that flag objective, which is important, right? So I'll just quickly run through the lists. So I'm running Syvestro. I have Apollo as the only warjack in his battle group. I have a train. I have 3 Crucible Guard mechanics. I have a Dragon's Breath rocket. I have Dr. Alejandro, definitely not Adolf Mosby. Then we have Prospero with the Vulcan on him. We have Crucible Guard, 2 units of Crucible Guard assault troopers, 1 unit of failed experiments, and then the Triumvirate. So Shane on his side is running Tyrus. He's got a we have a rack for him because he's a Mark IV army, so he racked Battle Lust, Deceleration, and Inviolable Resolve. He's got 2 Ghasts, both with Arc Nodes, Heavy Blade Fist and Light Blade Fist, Cylena Raefyll, Dyssiss, Lanyssa with the 2 wolves, cats, whatever they are, 2 Mage Hunter Commanders, 2 Mage Hunter Sniper Teams, Railless, 2 Dreadguard Cavalry units, 2 units of Mage Hunter Assassins, and the Last Watch. Now you can see here kind of what I was talking about before. I've got the 2 units of assault troopers on the right hand flank whose aim is solely to push up on that building, because we all know that when scenario objectives are buildings, it's sad times for everyone involved. And he's going to have some trouble contesting my scenario terrain down the bottom. The good thing about having the train on this flank, or having the train in this list even in general, is that because of the base size and because of the nature of a battle engine, it can score that 50 that's on the right hand side of mine, and it can also contest that cache which is sitting in the middle. And so at armor 21 and 30 boxes, it's difficult for people to deal with at range, and so you really have to engage with it to get rid of it, and then the assault troopers provide kind of a counter punch when they do, when my opponent does send something in to try and contest it. And so I'm feeling pretty good about this deployment. I won the roll and decided to go second. I'm pretty sure in this because I know a lot of people don't like going second, but I'm the exception to that rule. I think going second is stronger than going first in most cases, and it allows you to better position yourself to win on scenario, which is what I've done here. So above the train, you can see that we've got the 3 failed experiments. We've got Apollo, we've got Syvestro in the middle there. You can kind of see his little experiment bottle poking out from behind Apollo. We've got the 3 Triumvirates. Sorry they aren't painted, they were literally printed the morning before we played this game. Dragon's Breath rocket in the middle, then the Vulcan and Prospero, and of course a smattering of Crucible Guard mechanics around the back. And that's about all she wrote. So this list still in experimental stages, but I quite enjoy it. I think it's quite versatile. I think it's got a number of elements that work quite well. I don't know about the Triumvirate in this list. I don't think you need it too much. The thing I like about Apollo with Syvestro is that all 3 of his things work with, except for obviously the healing at the start of D3 at the start of every turn that Lucas gets, but everything else works with Syvestro. You get the increased control range, which takes it to 16 for the purposes of chemical warfare. You've got the arc node, and you've got the reroll when you arc the ability. And what you can do with that with Syvestro is that on his feat turn, you can cast a Stygian Abyss for free, boost it for 1, and what that means is that you're rolling 4 dice, dropping one of the dice of your choice, and you're looking for a crit. So because of the, is it Arcane Repeater, I think is the rule, you can then re-roll it, and so you can go crit fishing, essentially, which, when you've got blind on a spell, is always a good ability. Interestingly, I don't think it comes up in this game because Tyrus has this thing where he can negate spells within 3 of him. So obviously I'm not going to be able to get a Stygian Abyss off on him at any point. But the next game that I'm going to do after this, it does actually come into play. So it makes it a little bit more interesting. So Shane has essentially gone with somewhat of a mirrored deployment. So he's got the unit of cats on each flank. He's got an arc node warjack on each flank. The units that he can't kind of duplicate. So he's gone with Lanyssa on the right side and Cylena's on that right side as well, which means he's going to be pushing towards that 50 and that flag objective. And then he's got Dyssiss just in the middle. She's fine being in the middle. That's what she does. But then he's also got the new character unit. Sorry, I've literally already forgotten the name of what they're called. The Last Watch. He's got them in the center as well. So there's going to be a few things that are, because Tyrus, as we all know, likes to push up. There's going to need to be a unit that's going to be sitting on that back objective. And for the majority of this game, it's going to be the Last Watch. So as you can see, the gun teams have moved up onto the hill. The cats have run up. Lanyssa moves up, puts stealth on herself. Puts concealment on herself, which, because she has prowl, gives her stealth. I don't have any way in this list to ignore stealth. I don't have Alice in this version of the list. I think in my revised list, after I played this game, and after I played a game with this into Infernals as well, I decided to put her in because she, guidance, I think I said in my video that I undervalued guidance for 5 points on Alice, and I think that certainly played out in the last few games that I had. In this game against Lanyssa, and again, if this was Moraine, it would have been relevant. So into the Dusk matchup, let's say, it would be relevant. And then when you're playing into the other units like other armies like Infernals that have stealth on very important models, it's quite important that you have the ability to ignore or remove stealth. And so this is turn 1. Shane's just running everything up. Right, there's a wall there. He's putting the cats behind the wall. They don't know Pathfinder. He's got Careful Recon as one of his cards. He can also Ghost Walk. I think he can rack Ghost Walk, and he decided not to this game just to try it and see what would happen without Ghost Walk. Obviously, Tyrus has it on his feet, so he still has the ability to proc Ghost Walk, but it doesn't have it on a stick like you would normally, and be able to cast it every single turn. And so this first turn, so Tyrus has put Inviolable Resolve on the Dawnguard Cavalry unit at the top, and he's cast Deceleration. Battlelust isn't out at this point, and he's essentially just run up onto that hill. And so you've got, a unit of Cav at armor 19, which is quite good. If I throw anything into melee with them, they've got spikes. What's the rule called when they spike you? Pin? No, it's not pincushion. That's a great question. Good. I told you we're going to get better with this, but I don't know if I can actually fulfill that promise. I'm sorry, chat. We have the Dreadguard Cavalry. They have Spring Blades. That's what it's called. It's like the one on the new Old Umbrecaster. So they're a pain to remove at range. They're a pain to remove in melee. If you try and remove them in melee, my 8 wound guys, they're obviously more survivable now that they've got 8 wounds instead of 5, but that's going to start, really chipping away at their health. And then he's got prey on one of the units of Assault Cav down the bottom, and then the other unit at the top put prey on the Vulcan. And then we switch over to my turn 1. So as you can see, he's gone quite aggressive. He's fairly far up the board, not completely at the midline, but pretty close to it. And what I'm looking at here is, because his feat gives him +2 charge, I think that there is a not 0 chance that he is going to try and do a top of turn 2 feet, right? So now the nature of this forest is that the Vulcan can move up, he can draw line of sight to that cat. I'm measuring 14 inches here, and I'm just going to go no Healy and put 2 rockets into that cat and try and kill it, because they have tough. So the no Healy shot does have a name, I can't remember what it is, but essentially because Prospero's gone as he does done guided fire, and then I'm essentially getting 2 double boosted 14s into that cav, and the splash damage also kills a Mage Hunter Assassin over that side. And he does have access to revive in this list, but if he does revive, it doesn't. Oh, that's what he's got. He's got that some solo that does Grim Returns. What was that? Is that Railless? Yeah, it's Railless. It does Grim Returns. Yep. Over that side with those cats. And so I know that even though I'm removing this cat, when he puts it back on the board, essentially it's going to have 1 box, and so I'm going to be able to chew through that unit fairly effectively, and the Colossal can basically stay out of threat range. He does have a forest that he can hide his... it's not a Banshee, that was an old Retribution Warjack Ghast. He can hide the Ghast behind that forest within 3 of that 50 mil objectives at the top, and so that's going to be hard for me to clear off without actually putting my Colossal out there and having it exposed to charges from Mage Hunter Assassins, which I really don't like, and also from the Dawn Guard Cav who have prayed it, so I also don't like that. So Syvestro moves up with Apollo, puts a cloud on himself. I put Ignite on the failed experiments because I really like Ignite on those guys because it takes into power 15 base with crit fire, but what it then does is it goes to power 17 with Alejandro on 2 attacks each. Really good. Okay, what I've done here is I've moved up the tank. I've put it outside of 12. Is it 12 of the Dawn Guard Cavalry? What their threat range is? Their threat might be 13. I've put them out of threat range essentially. 8, 9, yeah. So they have threat 12. So I put him out of 12 inches of the cats, basically so that he can't get an easy charge, but if he does want to feat and get the cavalry onto the train, I don't actually mind that too much. Like they're power 12 and 14 against armor 21, like it really doesn't bother me. And then when I can pop Syvestro's feet and kill some things in my control range, I can just heal the train back up. It's great. So what I also did there, you might have noticed that there was a Mage Hunter Assassin sitting behind the wall who was within 13 inches of the train and able to essentially get to a position where he was able to kill him. What I did was with the tank, with the train, I did the corrosion shot and fired into that Mage Hunter Assassin behind the wall. I'm not actually looking to hit it. I'm just looking to get blast damage on it, maybe kill it, and if I don't, it automatically gets the corrosion continuous effect, and it was within 16 of Syvestro, so even if I don't kill it with the blast damage, the corrosion will kill it the following turn with chemical warfare. And what that means is that his Mage Hunter Assassins are no longer within 13 inches of the train, and so therefore can't charge it. So I've pushed up a little bit here. I'm staying out of most of his threat ranges. If he really wants to feat this turn, he gets, I think, 3 cavalry models onto the train, and that's probably it. It may be the case that he'd be able to get 2 Mage Hunter Assassins onto the train as well, but if he does that, I'm probably okay with him trading the cats and the Mage Hunter Assassins for the train, if indeed they do kill it, which on averages they probably aren't guaranteed to do that. And then it means that I get to hit him back with the 2 units of Assault Troopers and Syvestro himself over that side. And I'm happy with that trade, if that were to happen. So we're just looking at positioning at this point in time. So the failed experiments where they are behind that wall, and they are outside of the ability, so if something were to charge and be on one side of the wall, if they have 1-inch melee, I'm not within range for him to reach over the wall and punch me. If they've got 2, like Cylena, for example, then I can't do anything about that, but that's okay. So he then moves Dyssiss over. No, not Dyssiss. What did I say this guy's name was? Dyssiss is the Incorp one. This is Railless. They have very similar names. And does the Grim Returns, as I said would happen. He has upkept Inviolable Resolve on that unit, so they're still +2 armor. And now looking at what he can do with this turn 2, with this limited kind of reprisal after I've killed 2 models, but he's just not quite within range, and he doesn't have line of sight to charge Syvestro, and I change over to my beautiful Broken Egg Cloud template instead of the blue one that I was using before. And now I'll move a tree to cover my caster, just so you can't see him, because he has stealth. That's the whole point. So yeah, so this turn, it's a pretty boring turn one. I've taken a couple of models. I have minimal chance of reprisal. What he's measuring here is, again, as I said, getting someone within 3 inches of that objective so that he has someone on it scoring it, because I don't have too many throwaway models in this army that I can just move them up and contest the objective without actually having reprisal, especially with the Vulcan on that side, because all of his army can see the Vulcan over the top of that forest because of how line of sight works with Colossals. And so I really don't want to have to use the Colossal to move up onto that objectives until I know that A, the cats from Lanyssa are dead, and then B, that the Dawnguard, the cavalry, are dead as well. I can probably face, with the Vulcan especially, face tank a charge with Mage Hunter Assassins. They're a dice -9 double damage, but you know that's what 4 per guy. Even if he really cranks the damage, it's like 10 per guy, and I've still got heaps of boxes left. So I'm okay with that. So he moves up one of the cats to be on the objective. I'm sorry, I can't tell you exactly which one that is. They both look the same to me. I know they do different things. I don't know which one's which. He then moves Cylena up to behind that forest because she has also put her prey on the Vulcan. And so, you know, again, one attack. I think it's power 12 Weapon Master, is that? No, power 10 Weapon Master. So power 12 with prey. A single power 10 Weapon Master against a Vulcan. I don't really care about that. It's 5 damage. Like if she wants to charge it, then, you know, go for your life, Cylena. And so she's not really, he probably thinks that she's threatening more than she is with the prey on the Vulcan. I'm not sure if prey on the Vulcan was the correct choice for Cylena. Probably is for the Dawnguard Cav because that's the unit they probably want to hit. But with her, maybe the Triumvirate were the better option, or maybe the Dragon's Breath Rocket, something that can easily be removed. And if I bring up and expose it to her fire, she can remove it fairly trivially. And she's got Swift Hunter as well, so she can move up, shoot something, and then fade away. Which is also quite good with her. So yeah, I think maybe the prey on the Vulcan was a mistake because she's not going to do much to it. So the Cav just stay where they are, and then they reposition just to push that one guy up to contest the objective. He then almost puts the Ghast up to contest the 50 mil on the right hand side. But if he put it up too far, then I just would have charged it with the train and, you know, knock it down and put all my shots into it. And then that's probably at that point in time a dead Ghast with all those attacks. And then he's trying to figure out what he's going to do over on this side. Because even though he does have a lot of models, there's not much they can do against my army. My army has quite significant ranged output, even though it does have 3 melee units. The train, the Triumvirate, and the Vulcan are more than enough volume of fire to kind of make him cautious to where he puts models. Especially because I've got the no healing aura on the Vulcan, and on the Vulcan's rockets means that his stuff that is usually tough doesn't get tough. So the cavalry move up. They're all trying to hide behind this small forest here, essentially for line of sight purposes on the Vulcan. Because if they can get into it, then that's okay. He's left the 1 wound model back, which was potentially a mistake. I think I would have probably pushed that up behind the forest, made me move up to try and do something to it, because then it kind of threats forward. And if you lose the 1 point Grim Return model, you don't really care that much, right? And then Tyrus moves up behind the building in the middle. So he's quite exposed at this point. He does have Decel up. He is able to negate my spell, so I can't blind him. There's not much really that he can do at this point in time. He just put the shot, brutal shot, I believe, into my Crucible Guard Assault Trooper. Does nothing, because I'm armor 22 against range fire, and it's power 12, so it's dice -10, 3 dice, average is 10.5, so it does half damage on average. And then that's it. So we flip back over to my side. So we have a quick discussion at the start of this turn about a potential assassination run. So because I can probably get the tank with a charge, with super fuel that is, to a point where it can draw line of sight to the caster. So here you go. So you'll see that I'll take this off here. I'm going to have a look at a few details, because if I can charge that not archer, sniper team with the train can kill the sniper team fairly confidently, especially if I have feet at this point in time. And then I can ram, and then I'll go another inch, and then essentially I'll be within line of sight of Tyrus. But then the question is, can I put enough attacks on him to kill him? The answer is probably, I probably can, but I decided at this juncture, especially if I get the two ice cages, if I get the two ice cages on him, it's basically game over at that point. But he is def 15, and so the tank's going to need, the train on 3 dice drop the lowest is going to need 9s, 2 9s in a row. Well, sorry, a 9 first, and so it's pretty critical that I get that first 9. And then if I get that first 9, the second one only needs to be a 7, 2 dice drop the lowest, which is fairly not certain, but I'm pretty confident that I can do that. But 15, 17 is just a hell of a stat line. And so what we end up deciding to do essentially is that I'm not going to go for the assassination run, because I think that my positioning and what I can kill this turn without even feating is going to be enough to kind of secure me this right-hand side flank without much fear of reprisal. And so the first thing that happens is the assault troopers just walk into the forest. So just walks 3 inches. I don't need to burn my careful reconnaissance or anything. And I've got 2 POW 15 attacks into this Dawnguard cav. So dice -2, they've only got 8 boxes. I'm fairly confident that I can remove this guy, and then I don't. Oh, sorry, they're armor 16, so it's, oh no, that's archers. Hang on, Dawnguard cavalry. Where are they? I'm pretty sure they're armor 17. Yeah, they are. So dice -2 with those assault troopers, I expect to remove that guy, and unfortunately I don't. So that means that I'm going to be scoring 1 less point this turn unless I can get rid of him some other way. Now we're doing some train attacks. We do the 2 sprays into the Dawnguard cav behind the wall and get him, and he's down. I then see that there's a single Mage Hunter assassin there, just sitting by himself, and so I put the cannon into him, and then I put the flamer into the Dawnguard archer, sorry, the sniper unit, just to basically see if I can score a random hit. I need 8 on 2 dice. I'm not guaranteeing it, but it's fine. And then, so we've removed one of the Dawnguard cav models. The assault troopers move up. They're just staying out of the threat range, which is the 14 inches of the Dawnguard cav at the back. Because this one down the bottom is engaged, he's not going to be able to charge, or so I think. And then I just move, those assault troopers are in the middle. They're threatening everything right there, and he can't do anything. Is that what happened? No, is that what happened? I think that's what happened. Yeah, we'll just go with that. So this is the right flank done. So I'm contesting the cache. I am within 3 inches of that 40 mil objective. Unfortunately, I'm not in a position where I can score it this turn. I was hoping that that single Dawnguard cavalry would be dead. Hitting on 6s and dice -2. It's not out of the realm of reality that I'd be able to do that. And so he's moved Tyrus and a bunch of dudes up behind the building, and so I decided to do the same with Apollo. And this list was before I put the Combat Alchemist back in the list. I really like the combo of Apollo with the a continuous fire, a continuous corrosion on his shot, so the fire treatment or the heat treatment from the Combat Alchemists, and just putting it on essentially for them to, putting putrefaction on living models to explode in their turn. I really like that kind of interaction with the mechanic. And I kind of realised that after this game that that's what I want to do with Apollo. And so there's, as I said, there's been a bit of a list modification after this. I think I basically just took out the Triumvirate and put in Alice and a unit of Combat Alchemists for this exact point. Because if I can put corrosion or fire on a number of these critical models, like I've gotten a hit on Cylena, if she was on fire, she'd be dead. I've got a one on one of the archer models, I think. Sorry, not one of the archer models, one of the sniper teams, and then one of the Mage Hunter assassins, maybe. Yeah, and like Apollo up there behind a building with cover. If he decides to charge me, I've got admonition, so I can move out of the way. I'm pretty happy with my position there. Now I make another mistake here. This is what I've done probably numerous times on this channel, and I repeat the same mistake in this game, is that I don't have a unit to put on the 40 mil objective, and my caster is the person that is meant to be on that objective, and I just forget, I just move him off it. There's no reason why he needs to be up there. Oh yeah, here we go, here's the ice cages, this is how this guy gets stationary. There's no reason why Syvestro needs to be up behind that. Scatter terrain, he should just be back within 3 inches of that objective to score it. So between not killing the Dawnguard Archer, the Dawnguard Cavalry at the bottom, and between Syvestro not being on that objective, I've essentially sacrificed 2 points. And because I realised that mistake right now, after I've had a look at where the Triumvirate go, I have to make a big positional concession to score that 1 point at the bottom, which, you know, especially in this scenario, which is quite live, it's fairly important that you score objective points, and what happens is I end up having to move the failed experiments back to score that objective, because I'm a dum-dum. So Alejandro moves up, he puts tough on the Triumvirate, which is really good, and then I'm like, okay, I could charge over that wall, I could do careful reconnaissance, I could put them into the archers, jam him up, and maybe get a couple of attacks on his caster. But then I'm like, no, let's resolve the Vulcan first. So there's a bit of fiddling around here. Essentially, I want to be within 10 inches of that the Dawnguard Cavalry model, because I know the one at the back is not within range to do much at all, and so I want to kill another model, make him Grim Returns. Right, so 2 Dawnguard Cav charging my Vulcan is even like less impactful than the ones that were going to charge it before. And so I know that I'm in Cylena's threat range here, but I kind of want her to come in and try and do something to the Vulcan. And then I measure 14 inches to the cat, realise I'm not within 14 inches of the cat, and I didn't measure that before I moved, and so he just puts a rocket into the sniper team and kills it. They've all got... they're all... can't heal for whatever reason, but it doesn't matter because there's no systems that are taken out. And no real damage. So as you can see here, this is the major positional concession that I make. So I move the failed experiments back to contest that objective because I'm an idiot, and move Syvestro off it. And that's it. And so at the end of this turn, I score 1 point for my 40 and 2 points scored by Shane, 1 for his 40 and 1 for the 50 at the top. And so you can see why I had to put the failed experiments onto that objective. Because if I don't, and I'm down 2-0 as second player going into turn 3, it's not a good look. And so this is fairly obviously going to be feat turn. Now, I didn't realise that Shane could essentially ghost walk 6 inches through this objective piece, and you'll see here the placement that he's able to do. I think he looks at it here, but essentially Tyrus had the potential to walk through this building in the middle and be within range of all melee things, and I think he just dies if he does it, but it'd be really funny if he did it, and it was an option that Shane could do, which is scary. I didn't realise that he could just ghost walk and walk through a building, so I'll be on the watch out for that next time. The sniper team at the bottom, the one that didn't die to the rocket, had 2 ice cages put onto it by the Triumvirate using their juice tokens, and what there's now there is a 50 mil base that is obstructing the rest of the army. It's not that big of a deal because the feat from Tyrus gives Ghost Walk, so it's not a massive problem, but where he is quite a pain in the ass. He can move him with his feet, right? So it's not that big of a deal. He can kind of get him out of the way. But at the moment, he's not able to activate. He's not able to do anything. He's not able to run onto an objective. Like, he's just sitting in the middle doing sweet FA, waiting for somebody to come and punk him, essentially. And he's just creating problems for Shane, which makes me happy. So now he's looking at what to do, where he can go, what he can get into. The feed itself, is place something within 2 inches, and then he can charge things. And so I'm expecting to have I'm expecting him to push into me, but probably not as much as he ends up actually doing. Because when he does come into me this turn, you'll see what he does here. But essentially, so he's going with Tyrus first here, so he's obviously feeding at this point in time. He's then deciding what to do, and he doesn't check it at this point, but he puts Battle Lust on the last watch, but then doesn't check the 2 inches from the frontmost one after the move with the feet and line of sight on Apollo, because he thinks that it's just cut and dry, essentially, and that he's definitely got line of sight with that move, which he doesn't. And so the Battle Lust in itself was actually not necessary, and so we come back and we fix that later. So again, with the cats at the bottom, in my head the cat can't get out of combat, and of course his feat is just place it within 2 inches of where it is, and so he can very obviously get out unless I was in base to base with him. But I didn't think about that the turn prior. But if I played him again, that's what I would have done. I would have put one of these guys, if he could have fit in base to base contact with that cat, essentially to lock him down and make sure that he couldn't charge. So everything's shifting 2 inches. We're now going to do the line of sight dance to Apollo from the last watch, because if they can get into Apollo and wreck him, it makes my army sad. But as it turns out, they don't have line of sight. And so he then just shifts Tyrus up a little bit here. And so what I say is, don't worry about the Battle Lust. You meant to put it on something else, because you didn't need to do it before moving and measuring. So this is where he measures where Tyrus can get to. So thankfully he wouldn't have been within range of getting into Syvestro at this point. But I guess it's something to remember, even if you've got a big terrain piece in the middle. You don't put your caster within 8 inches of Tyrus, because he'll just die on the feet turn. And so now he's looking at options. And so with Ghostwalk, one of the cats is now going to charge into my models. This is the cat that has sprint. I don't know actually if they both have sprint, but I know this one had something to that effect. Drag below, that's what it is. So he puts the cat does have line of sight, and he has to charge into one of the failed experiments, I think. And we're just essentially measuring where Lanyssa has to be to keep both of the cats in line of sight when they're going to charge. So one cat's going down the bottom, one cat's going into the Vulcan at the top. Which again, I think splitting the cats up is probably a mistake. I think, again, if it was me, I probably would have put both of the cats into the Vulcan. More chance of getting boxes off it, more chance of doing damage. But what he wants to do here is contest the 40, and so he's trying to go for a scenario play. And so he goes into my my Trancer model here. So she's Def 16, which is actually quite hard to kill. So, but he boost attack, boost damage, and even though she's got super tough, because I think I did Revivify on Alejandro. I can actually see his token now. I don't roll the 4+, and so she dies. And so he gets the drag below trigger, and then he moves up so that he is contesting my objective at the back, which then eventually will roll into one of my favorite interactions of a game that I've played in recent times. But we'll get to that on my next turn. The other cat goes into the Vulcan. It's not going to do much. They're they're power 15. On the charge dice -4, you're going to do 7 damage, and then the rest of the attacks aren't going to do anything. And I think that's what he does. He does 8 damage or something. Yawn. So then the Dawnguard Cavalry goes. So there's 2 of them. One of them's on 1 box, one of them isn't. I say to him, did you want a Grim Returns with, not Dyssiss, we're going to get this the whole game, Railless. I said, do you want a Grim Returns with Railless first, just to put another dude in the way? And I think he says no. He might actually, no, he doesn't do it, it's fine. And then the Banshee goes in as well. Cylena goes in. This is Cylena going in. And so between the 2 Dawnguard Cav, the cat, and Cylena, and the Dawnguard Cav had prey on it, and Cylena had prey on it as well. Between all of them, and of note, Cylena doesn't have dual attack, which I think is just such a weird thing for her. I wonder if they just missed putting the icon on her or something. She feels like a model that 100% should have dual attack. Maybe it was too good in playtesting. Maybe they took it off. But she feels like she should have had it. And so she goes in. So the Vulcan is more than half dead at this point. But as we will find out under Syvestro's feet, everything just comes back to life. It's so good. So then 2 Dawnguard Cav with Battlelust charge into the tank and do roughly half of its boxes. He runs the Mage Hunter Assassin up onto the hill to score the 40 mil objective, the last remaining Mage Hunter Assassin from that unit on the bottom, onto the hill to score the 40, and then just starts moving things around. So that the sniper team just activates and ends its activation, and then doesn't move the Banshee at the bottom, so that is turn. So the Banshee at the top isn't scoring the objective. I don't know. Yeah, there we go. He moves it up and scores that objective. Because there was no reason not to, he just forgot to activate it. Alright, so Shane scores 1 for the top 50 and 1 for his 40 mil with that single Mage Hunter Assassin, and I score nothing because he is contesting my 40 mil at the back, he's contesting my 50 mil on the right hand side, and that's all she wrote, really. So, he's feeded, his stuff is all up in my face. I have a cat that I need to deal with at the back. I've got 2 Cav, Cylena, and one of the cats on the Vulcan. I don't really have a line to get anybody to Lanyssa, which ideally would be the way that I would deal with getting rid of the cats, because she's cast the Animus, so she's stealth where she's standing currently. And so I've got to come up with a plan. And so essentially what I'm going to do here, again, is just the standard Prospero, moves up, cast Guided Fire, does pretty much nothing else. The 2 mechanics over there will power up the Vulcan to go to 14. So we go with Syvestro. Syvestro moves back, and he feats, and that is about all that he does. He did something else. I can't remember what he did. But essentially, at this point in time, the amazing play happens. Alejandro walks back and he does an attack into the cat. He hits on, I think it's an 8 to hit, rolling 2 dice, drop the lowest, so not out of the realm of possibility. Hits the cat and stationaries it with anesthesia, so he walks up and puts the cat to sleep. And what this means is now that I can do pretty much whatever I want over this side, because the cat's stationary. It's out of control, so it's not going to be able to shake it next turn. It's just going to be there regardless, and I can kill it at my leisure. And so what we do is then the assault troopers that are in the middle now get a charge attack on the cavalry who are overexposed, and the other, sorry, I just completely skipped over it, but the assault troopers on the bottom went into that Banshee that was behind the wall, basically got to a point where they're not hitting over the wall, and with the feet just remove that. Sorry, no, it's not a Banshee, it's a Ghast. Remove the Ghast from play, and they're all within 3 inches of that, the house, the scenario terrain. So now I'm scoring that. With the train having moved, I'm now scoring the 50 mil objective, and then I put a shot again to kill the 3rd member of the unit with Forever Fire with the cannon. And as you can see, I've now very comfortably got this flank, and all he's got there is Dyssiss. The tank can give itself magical attack on the cannon if it really wants to, which will probably kill Dyssiss anyway. And then the assault troopers can just swing around to the top, score that unit objective, and then that's all she wrote, really, at that point in time for Shane, unfortunately. So over on the other side where things are actually happening. So I need to clear out the cat, and so what I do is I charge the failed experiments into the cat, and basically just what I'm going to try and do is use the 2 that can only hit the cat to hit the cat, and then the last one I'm going to try and kill the cat. And then because Alejandro gave the failed experiments overtake, I can berserk overtake into Cylena and hopefully kill her and clear her off. But what I'm also doing with this move is that I'm contesting the 40 mil objective on that top side, and that means that Shane's not scoring any points from that. And even though he has a fairly solid 3-point lead at this point in time, my aim by the end of this turn is that I'm going to have complete control of the table and of the scenario pieces, because he has, in my opinion, probably overexposed himself in his feat turn with not a whole lot of work done for overexposing himself. And so that was me rolling healing, because every time that you move a model in Syvestro's control range while he's got the feet up, you just heal D3. And so essentially I'm just healing the failed experiments, or the Vulcan, or the train. Like, it's just all gravy at this point in time. So then Syvestro casts Guided Fire. He charges into the cat. The cat's stationary, so he's just a bunch of power 12 boosted. I jank the dice rolls on the feet turn, and essentially he's got 2 melee attacks. The second melee attack that I put into the cat, plus the shot, I boosted basically. So it's 2 boosted power 12s in melee, and then an unboosted power 12. And because I janked the rolls, the thing's just dead. And I only needed to spend 1 focus to do it. Poor cat. And so I'm scoring that back objective because I was smart enough this turn to actually move Syvestro back onto it. Oh, and I put Admonition on Syvestro just in case he had some janky assassination trying to get into him. So the Vulcan goes, he does his melee attacks first, kills a couple of cats. He's mat 7 with Prospero within 10 of him, so I'm needing 6s on 2 dice drop lowest. Power 19 means that I am straight dice, again, 2 dice drop lowest. One of them's on 1 point, the other one was on less. So I kill them. There's nothing in base-to-base contact. I spray down Cylena and kill her. And then I put a rocket into Lanyssa and boost the blast damage. So it's a power 7. And on the boosted blast damage, I roll a 665. So that's 24. She's got no more targets to transfer to, so she's just dead. I then move the 2 remaining members of the Triumvirate up. Essentially, they're just trying to put attacks into that Dawn Guard officer. Just see if I can do anything to him. And then again here I'm just rolling healing from Syvestro's feet because I've just removed a bunch of models. And so there's a turn. So I score 4 this turn. So I score 1 for my 1 for my 40 mil, 1 for my 50 mil, 2 for his house, and I'm contesting his one at the top. And he's not scoring his 40 because I killed the 1 infantry model that was there. And so we could have played out another turn here, but Shane saw the writing on the wall. He's lost the right flank. The right flank has collapsed completely for him. The left flank is no better. He's got nothing that can kill the Vulcan, so the Vulcan's just going to rule the table from here on in. That Banshee's going to go down. And he doesn't have an avenue for a jank assassination because I've got Admo on Syvestro, and I've got models in the way. And so we basically just call the game there, because at the end of this turn, he can contest the house with Dyssiss, and potentially he can contest my 50 as well. I'll go up to 6 at the end of this turn. It's unlikely that he's going to kill the failed experiments that are up at the top unless he commits his caster. And yeah, writing's on the wall. So yeah, as you can tell, my win rate with Crucible Guard is already probably higher than the Gravediggers. So I hope that, these battle reports are giving people something that they can learn off, especially now that Crucible Guard have been reworked. They have new rules. Everybody seems interested in playing Crucible Guard at the moment because you can just print them off willy-nilly. For the most part, there's still obviously some models that you can't get hold of, but those will be coming in the next few months. And yeah, Crucible Guard are a really, really fun army. So if you're thinking about getting into them, I would highly encourage it. They're very versatile. They've got play into, I would say, probably any army in Mark IV currently, and probably even more so when the update drops in January. I don't know what's in it. I'm not a playtester. I'm not really friends with people that talk to me about what's coming up in January. So I'm just hoping for an overall, as they were saying about it, the keynote lethality drop in the game, and I think that's only good for Crucible Guard because we have forever fires and we can just set people on fire. So yeah, thanks everybody for watching. I hope this was informative. Go into the comments, leave some messages of support or chagrin, whichever you choose. I read them all, I respond to them all, and I appreciate anybody that watches the video and leaves comments. So thanks everyone, and we'll see you next time.